Okay, so I started, went about 2 minutes thinking I didn't press record button, so I stopped it. Turns out I did press the record button. That is new form of stupidity even for me. Anyway, my name is Matthew, welcome to Raven Tale. This is gonna be commentary on the story I just read to you, 2 hours earlier. I had to take a bit of a break for neck. Last time I tried this, I went about an hour without even touching actual writing, more of a world building and talking about plans for the second draft, which is very important for me. I learned from a lot. I learned from it a lot, but I think it's gonna be best. Plus, I did some world building for second draft on the side. So what's gonna be best? I decided I'm gonna keep this as commentary for actual writing. I'm gonna make separate general commentary. I want to make this a podcast. Don't know if I'm gonna be able to afford enough for hosting. Either way, all of it's gonna be on YouTube, so it's not that big tragedy. That big of a tragedy. Tragedy. Fuck. Don't know. Hold on. Here. Don't know how well you can see it. I just made some quick handwritten notes so I don't go off the rails as I usually go, which is good. You get new ideas, but not when you on the time, on the clock. So those 10 pointers would be army. Point 1, army approaching / Jim. Point 2, flashback, Cyril enters. Point 3, Cyril intent. Point 4, rebel Johnson's unit. Point 5, Cyril versus Johnson's unit. Point 6, Cyril and George. Point 7, on the hill. And under that I got hint on religion, Rufus versus Timeo, Agnieszka and Lucius. Hint on Atterheim, hint on Amisatera. Hint on Emily / Lina and Nadia in question mark. More of it in general commentary, but Lina and Nadia are practically absent. This is where I thought I didn't press recording, so I stopped it last time. Lina and Nadia are more or less absent, but I want them to play bigger role in second draft. In fact, as I was writing this, I learned about splitting protagonist or hero, so again, more in general commentary, but Nadia, woman who's mentioned once and never shows up again, most likely gonna be hero of the next draft. That's why it's called first draft, so I can jack knight. Some people say that second draft is first one minus 10%. For me, it's actually gonna be like minus 99%. I'm not complaining. If I got one good sentence out of 100 pages, I got that one good sentence, right? Point 9, explosion and hill group, in quotation mark, Rufus, Timeo, king, queen, entering the city, Lucius's sympathy, meeting with Cyril, and part 10, which was last page 19, would be Jim's implication. Now let's get to it. Let's do the commentary for first recording, first 19 pages of New Dawn, Amber Regreds, first draft. My name is Matthew. Thank you for being here with me, and let's do this. Now, they were army approaching. I created this one, point 1, army approaching. I started from point of view of villain, which at least Jim's supposed to be a villain. More on this in general commentary, but I honestly feel that Jim is way more compelling character than Cyril. Again, Jim is supposed to be villain, Cyril is supposed to be a hero, or at least protagonist. At least Cyril is supposed to be anti-hero, while Jim is supposed to be anti-villain, which I like the type of dynamic, but it doesn't work. It's good if villain is sympathetic, it's not as good when you straight up root for him and not for the first guy. More on the when we get to it, like in this first draft, about half of it is just Jim doing his thing and flashbacks with his wife, with his friends. So completely off the rails. Again, with discard writing, that's okay. Now, this first army approaching thing. I wanted to start... In my mind, I'm imagining something like beginning of Berserk or Kingdom of Heavens or something like that, like big... Well, people say big medieval battle. This is supposed to be more like a Renaissance. It's supposed to be flintlock fantasy, even though not that many muskets here. Gonna fix in second draft. But what I was happy about and what was the goal was to introduce you to a big army with sabers and rapiers and spears and halberds, and then just throw into the mechs and airships and whatever. So I wanted to just a tip, worst fucking metaphor I could use, start with just a tip, and yeah, this is semi-Europe, semi-medieval setting, and then go mechs and robots and flintlock fantasy and magitech and steampunk, or more of a magitech. Steampunk counts. From that is Jim looking at it. In second draft, I'm gonna start actually day before it, in the night. This is morning. In second draft, I think I'm gonna start with Jim in the city. Again, this was supposed to be short story. Jim within the city, dealing with rebels and preparing for invasion or contra-revolution. And likewise, showing Cyril doing his thing back in his hometown, which will be Besson, capital of empire. But now I think it's, at least for this first draft, I think it's fair enough that it's... what I'm trying to say, I like to get to the... I like stories that get to the point, which is irony since I'm clearly unable to do. But it's all, people always say that you should ease people into it. So in this part we are introduced to some asshole named Jim, who's looking at the enemy army, empire army. He's looking at their own rebellious army, who are pigs to be slaughtered. And I think that this that whole introduction with mechs and stuff, don't know how well it goes, especially since mechs aren't pretty much last time they're mentioned after this. Again, in second draft. Here, I mentioned there's some modern technology like robots and steampunk-ish airships, and then there are pretty much never mentioned again, which I think in second draft there's gonna be straight up like motorcycles and like Da Vinci-esque tanks. I think I'm gonna go that direction, like Vinci-esque tanks and helicopters and mech and robots. They're not gonna be main focus on the story, but they're gonna be there so far, at least quick ease and quick implication that no, this isn't real life or traditional fantasy. And then I want you guys to tell me what's good or what's wrong, but I have to do it myself so far. I would definitely make it shorter, definitely focus more on the robots. Maybe what I do, if I'm gonna repeat this scene, this one probably gonna be there in second draft, I would make introduction of soldiers longer, like that original march, and show more of an army, show more of the robots, like it feels like their armor is heavy, like they're sweating, like dust is in front of them. That part I think I'm getting pretty good at, like describing how it feels to be there, show their marching, and then like page, I don't know, maybe 2 pages of that, and then just suddenly like robotic legs going next to somebody, and do this but do it longer, which is irony since I want to be... In second draft, I'm plan to... My idea for second draft is to add 10 times more stings on 1/10 of the space. Second draft gonna be heavily outlined, so it shouldn't be that big of a problem. Like I said, Discovery Writer, I don't even try to stop myself and I just go off the rails for 100 pages, because sometimes I get new ideas from that. And if not, it's first draft. fuck it, it's going out of window anyway. And then what I'm definitely gonna keep is implication that Jim is, I don't think it's clear that on which side Jim is. That is bad. It's supposed to be clear right away that it's on side of rebels. It's on side of defenders. Which again, in second draft, it's gonna be one chapter before this. First of all, there's gonna be chapters in second draft. One chapter before this, when it's clearly talking and planning with rebels, like night before. So there's gonna be that to show you, no, Jim is on side of rebels. He's against invasion. And then we can have this part when it's like clearly that look that he's showing that, yeah, rebels are supposed to get slaughtered, but why? Like, he's on side of defenders, but he wants army to enter the city, and that doesn't make sense. And that's supposed to be that moment when you're like, I'm not gonna tell you, I know that writers aren't supposed to tell you what you feel, that's the biggest sin, but since this is commentary, my goal, what I want you to feel, what I fantasize about you feeling, is to be like, wait, this Jim guy is supposed to be on the side of defenders, but he wants Empire army to enter the city? I feel like the motherfucker is planning something. That's what this scene's supposed to be, but since it's not clearly established that Jim is on side of rebels, / it's not even established what the fuck or who the fuck Jim is, it doesn't make much of sense to begin with. Part 2, yeah, we are ready, are you? That's supposed to be like reverse Captain Akbar, like, yeah, you're going in the trap, you motherfuckers, come at me. Now to flashback. Now, I talk about this in a recording. I love swashbuckler genre, no shit. I like muskets, rapiers, and I wanted to be like my own take on it. Obviously, Three Musketeers are great inspiration, but, and you're not gonna believe me, trust me, I'm not defending myself. I'm trying to explain just what a big stupid motherfucker I am. People who like samurais, just write story about samurais, and people who like ninjas just write story about ninjas, and people like pirates just write story about pirates. I like musketeers, so I wanted to write about musketeers. Didn't occur to me that unlike pirates and ninjas and samurais and knights, there's only one famous story about fucking musketeers. Plus, there are guys who call themselves Royal Musketeers, they're part of the same order, and there are 3 of them. Cyril, Huey, Lee. Plus there's even fourth one. Cyril, Huey, and Jim. And later I introduced Lee pretty much second he showed up. Again, discovery writing. I don't know characters going to be in the scene until I write him in next sentence, and then I just go on 20 pages about that character. Brainstorming with myself. So in second draft, I talk about it more in general commentary, but in second draft, the Royal Musketeer is going to be called Order of Lucernes. Lucerne, Latin for candlelight, even talk about why there is a bit of a mystical edge. And in second draft, they at least originally started as a religious school who later get militarized and join a service of the king. But in this flashback, Cyril enters. We see Cyril. We are introduced to Jim. First we showed Jim, then we showed Cyril. No, so here first we introduced to Jim, then we are introduced to Cyril in flashback, then to Cyril in present day, which is supposed to show they are on different sides, but they used to be friends. At least they became friends after this. It's also supposed to show that Cyril used to be giant asshole and got better. Like I said, Cyril is probably second worst protagonist I ever written, so in second draft it's gonna be way better. But now I think it's gonna be better in second draft when I go. Again, Night prequel chapter is gonna be first one about Jim, then present day, then about Cyril present day, then about them meeting along with Huey and Lee, and then go to actual fight in the city. But it showed us that Jim no used to be on side of Besson Empire. He used to work with them. It showed that they all were in part of the same order. It showed that Cyril used to be giant fucking cunt, which again he still is in present day, which I don't want him to be. One solution I thought I came up with is, and I even said it in recording, I wanted to make great, awesome, kick-ass action hero who is that sexy. He, we get to the in 10th chapter, who owns a brothel, who's awesome, who's smart, who has scientific edge. Basically, whole package. 4 pages in, I can stand that motherfucker. But I already kind of built a whole story about all these things he can do, which I don't know how that happened, honestly, because I hate those types of character. I hate protagonists who are just good at everything. I think I called him in actual reading, I called Cyril White Kirito from Sword Art Online, which at this point he is. And I think solution for that is to be, you hear stories in real life all the time about celebrities, comedians, athletes who came from, they used to be poor, then got a lot of money, but they never got over self-loathing or depression, or people who became famous and then commit suicide because, or people who are drowned themselves in excess. I'm not even, again, note to myself, say less after every sentence. I'm work in progress, guys. Please be patient. I have it here somewhere. I'm not even a fan of boxing, but Mike Tyson's biography / autobiography, Nothing But True, one of the best books I've ever read in my life. And guys, I'm not into boxing is not excuse. I'm not into boxing either. That fucking book is amazing. One of the best ones I ever read in my life, like I said. Now, and Tyson talks about a lot, like he used to grew up in ghetto and it was tough to him. And after he became millionaire, like he never really got over this. He used to be poor, now he was poor with money. And like that rage and that confusion never really get away. Now, this example doesn't work literally because Cyril is, even here is mentioned that Cyril is nobleman actually. He's not very important noble family, he's more like, which I get to that, I actually decided to use it, is from very low grade noble family, to the point that even like his servants were making fun of him because they had title and they didn't have anything else. And it's not here in the story. I think what I'm gonna do, in between this and second draft, I'm gonna write series of short stories. Now, actually short stories about Cyril's past. Originally, I had idea I wanted to justify how he learned all this shit. Like, there's gonna be a lot of flashbacks to the point. I really like one of my favorite movies, Largo, or Western example. Well, Largo is from Western Europe, but it's European movie. American example would be either Batman Begins or even better, TV show Arrow. I like when you see present day and flashbacks being showed side to side. So basically 2 stories in price of one. And plus it helps you justify how much he can learn. So basically, I had idea. So, okay, Cyril, things he can do. Part 1, melee. Part 2, guns. Part 3, his signature fighting style, which you don't see here yet. It's gonna be later. Wrote it later. Oh, what was it? Part 3. Oh, and yeah, I know. Idea I had. I was once working, chopping some wood for my grandma, and I was listening to podcasts and thinking about this, like, how would I justify that Cyril just knows this shit and knows so much, despite being so young. One, he's not that great. Like, guy in his unit, Jim, Huey, Lee, everyone in the order, he's on his level or better. But why is he so badass and Kirito-esque compared to normal people? When one, he was in special order. 2, what would be the short stories I would write? 1, he had a trainer when he was a kid who taught him savate, which even in real life is French kickboxing basically. a really cool martial art, I feel. So that's one basis. His bodyguard used to fight with Kane in Sword Kane, which became basis for his fighting style. So that would be. Then he went to army, guns. From that he made a work for. While still in war, he was part of sort of a exchange program or work with liaison officer, which became his first love interest, who was foreigner and taught him his signature fighting style, which I wanted Cyril's fighting style to be something original, but not feel like Merisu, like in that anime One Piece, this guy who fights with 3 swords. And I wanted to be cool and original here, but not Merisu-ish. And what I decided is that Cyril's fighting style is not that special or new or original. It's just very used in different country. So this love interest woman in between this flashback, no, before he even joined Order, when he was in war, basically fantasy Vietnam, he met with this foreign agent from different country, and she taught him her signature style, which he feel like really works for him. So he grew to use it. If anyone wants to know, that style is going to be called Danza di Tempesta, a sword dance. And yes, the nations here are vaguely based on real life nations, but at least as a basis, and then I go away from it. So basically, Cyril's fighting style is kind of like, imagine American soldier using AK-47. He's gonna stand out among other American soldiers who have M14 or whatever they have now. But if that same soldier came to Russia, they will be like, yeah, we're all using AKs. What's so crazy about that? So Cyril stands out by using his style, Danza, here in country of Besson, when pretty much no one uses that. But he was taught that by his first love interest, which her working title is going to be either Sofia or Isabella, vaguely Italian, but she is agent from. If Cyril is not French, doing air quotes here, if Cyril is not air quotes French, then Isabella / Sofia was not air quotes Italian. You can guess that Besson was based off France. I don't want to have one-to-one analogies, but this is a good start. So there's gonna be that. Oh, what the fuck? Yeah. And here, so I'm gonna write this few stories. One from his childhood, one when he was in army, one when he met Isabella, and probably one, there will be at least, I said 5, it's gonna be at least 4, and then at least his training with Jim and others, joining the Order. And from that, basically, alchemy being his hobby. But that's gonna be help. It's not even gonna be for you guys, even though I'm gonna publish it, but it's gonna be more for me, and trust me. Plans about writing, that's not problem with me. As you can tell, 20 long, first short story being supposed to be 20 pages long and going 583 and counting. I hope I'm gonna manage to finish this fucking shit before page 800, but we'll see. Anyway, Cyril joins the Order. He's arrogant, he's brashy, he thinks he's gonna show this underling who he is, what he's made of. And one, he gets kind of like shoved back to his place, but also they surprised him with level of kindness and generosity, and that's gonna be, even in first draft we're gonna see in second flashback how Jim was sort of, if anyone speaks Japanese, I don't, but if anyone watches anime, basically, if this was an anime, then Jim would be like Cyril's senpai or whatever. I would almost say that this is, I've realized it only recently, but I feel like what I'm going for, don't know how well I'm doing this, but what I'm going for is almost like reverse Yakuza 1. Not big of spoilers, but Yakuza 1 / Yakuza Kiwami, which is remake video game. Villain of this game used to be protagonist of this game, that game is Kiryu. He goes away for 10 years. His best friend Nishiki looks up for him, and Nishiki ends up being villain decade later. Now this is kind of like reverse, where Cyril looks up for Jim and Jim ends up being villain, and that should be kind of like conflict. It's not revealed until well later, but the second draft that's gonna be kind of a conflict where one, Cyril is best suited to bring Jim down, but he's fighting against men who pretty much turn him in what he is. Like we said, and it's gonna be here later when Cyril became genuinely way better person just by being Jim's friend. So seeing that Jim is now traitor, or at least no one sees himself as villain, but seeing that Jim is on other side of the war, kinda gonna mess with Cyril's head. Basically what I'm imagining that for past 10 years, if not more, every moral problem that Cyril had was, what would Jim do? Anytime Cyril was in problem or didn't know how to be a leader, didn't know how to be responsible, start losing shit, Cyril was just think, what would Jim do if he was here? Now he see Jim is here, but he's on the other side of barricade, so that's gonna mess up his head for sure. Now we have Cyril in 10th. Now we get supposed to be this was supposed to be like introduction to cool, flashy character, like I already said. White Kirito. But he's still gonna own brothel, more of it's gonna be talked about later, but Cyril officially at least retired from army, and now he officially runs a brothel in capital, which, as you might gather, is cover for him and for his espionage operation for Lord Rufus, head of Secret Service. But he's still horny guy, very sexual guy. Most of it is for jokes, but I would like to introduce a light BDSM in the story, like with him and his girlfriend. At least Emily is gonna be his girlfriend in second draft. Emily is probably what I'm guiltiest about in this story, because I wanted to make her more fun character, but just I made her in this version. Emily ended up being like anime-esque, always in love, always stupid, and way too optimistic character. She's gonna be exact opposite in second draft, like not grumpy, but Emily comes out very childish, even if I said that she's clearly pretending to be childish, like, no, I don't want her to be dead. I think I'm gonna make, in second draft, Emily's gonna be almost like different side of Cyril in sense, not that she's part of him or extension of him, like, she's like, basically like his Lancer, like Emily is closest to Cyril's level if she's not better than him. Originally she was meant to be his apprentice. More of that in general commentary, but in second draft Emily is gonna be more like Cyril's rival slash best friend. And in fact, again, more in general commentary, and in her new origin story, they used to be on other sides, so Cyril and Emily spent about 3 years trying to kill each other before they end up working with each other. Note to myself, talk to fucking Mike, not away from it. This is gonna be great. I'm work in progress, you guys, I'm telling you. So Cyril intent. White Kirito, them bitches all over, yeah, he's so cool. Why the fuck did I wrote this? He's still gonna run brothel, he's still gonna be very sexual, very openly sexual, which even fit to the setting, which is kind of like mix of decadent and revolutionary friends. Like, based on the reason that Besson is so powerful, it's not the strongest country in the world necessarily, but they're almost, imagine decadent friends with moral and mind of revolutionary friends. Basically, I know that makes no fucking sense. That's the point. Basically, I took two exact opposite pre and post revolutionary friends and like put them together, and that's closer to their national identity, like their Besson is a very, very, very decadent country, but also with extremely militarized society, which are kind of intertwined at this point. So that's kind of fits there. A woman, some of his girls be openly talking shit to him, and I try to make it like, yeah, he owns a brothel, but it's not like some sort of pimp who just cuts girl face or something like the Eva or Eve. I realize I start spelling it slash read it completely differently halfway through. Talk shit to him, but they're clearly worried, at least they worried about them. Later, I want to make sure that Cyril is kinder person than he seems. I give a hint to Cyril having alchemy notes. Cyril's hobby, one of his great hobby is alchemy. He hates mages, which we go later to that. And of course, in second draft, there's gonna be a bit of conflict when he's gonna be working with Nadia, but not liking her and not trusting her right away. It's even in first draft that his friend who shows up later, Lee, calls him up on when Cyril's being extremely irrational and really whiny when it comes to mages, and even points it out like, Cyril, man, you're an alchemist. All alchemists hate mages. You guys are like cats and dogs. And it was also hinted, doesn't really show until later, but alchemy in this world being justification from basically Cyril being like gadget-based character. He uses smoke bombs, he uses guns, basically like European ninja. He uses smoke bombs, he uses guns. European ninja or Batman with rapier, whichever one works for you. He throws acid flask. He's like, he doesn't have a magic, but he's like small petards he throws. Maybe a bit of Witcher even. He uses like, he's like later is gonna get a little capsule he cracks and makes his sword lighter so he doesn't get tired. And I want to do that. But I always like gadget-based character because when you make character weak, he's not interesting. When you make character strong, he's overpowered, so he's not interesting. Reason why I like gadget-based character, or at least Brandon Sanderson says that it's always more interesting for magic. He's talking about in context in magic, but this is technically alchemy, but in a real life perspective, it still counts as magic because he's like muskets that are better than modern guns and shit like that. He always says that flaws are more interesting than strengths, and this is gonna be very much in that vein since Cyril has a lot of his alchemy gadgets, a lot of things he can use. In theory, I can make him the most overpowered guy on battlefield until he runs out, until his gun jams, until he accidentally misses his powder bags and they explode into his face, until he realizes he uses wrong chemical and his flask with some trick chemical just doesn't work. That's why I like trickery. Emily, I'm not sure if I'm gonna skip her, but so far Emily's gonna have superpowers, mild but nonetheless she's gonna have some closer way that I can imagine Emily is if you played FF15 with their blade warping. Emily can do that with her blood, like she puts little. She's basically Emily so far is gonna be mix between Saya from Blood Plus and Noctis from FF15. Like she can put her blood on her knife, throw it, and then teleport next to her blood, or later maybe in sequels if there's gonna be some, she can put like drip of her own blood somebody and then feel where they are and follow them. So that's gonna be like their balancing act. So they're both great fighters. Cyril with rapier and melee, Emily with her knives and daggers. They're both brutal assassin plus. Emily has her superpowers while Cyril has his gadgets.